In this video exercise, I'm going to be doing a detailed construction of a single start internal right hand V-screw thread. And it's going to be drawn horizontally over here. The sizes are 70 by 70 millimeters, okay, so it's 70 long, 70 wide, and the internal thread is going to be M50 and it's going to have a 7 millimeter pitch. Alright, so first things first, I always do is with the construction line. It says you may start with the center line, up to you. I like to start with construction lines and then I do my center lines afterwards. The problem with that is you sometimes forget, but practice makes perfect. Alright, so first things first is, even before I'm going to draw the line, I haven't even marked them yet. So first things first, this is 70 long. So let's try and make it accurately as possible. So I'm going to make a little marking over here, and where the 70 is, I'm going to make a marking over here. Then I'm going to get my set square, line it up like that, start scribing my lines, there we go, next point, scribe the next line, there we go. Right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is marking off the width of the entire object and the internal thread. The width is 70, so I'm going to line up to 35. Make a marking at the 0, make a marking at the 70. Then we're going to measure the M50 or F50 thread, and that's going to be on the 25, because half of 50 is 25. And there we go. And you mark off the 0, and you mark off the 50, and there it is. And once that's all done, it's all done. Scribe a line across like that, and scribe a line. Just do a construction line across like this once you're done. And there, the next one over here like that. Try line up as nice as possible, guys. I'm just making sure it's all accurate. There we go. Make sure it's all accurate. There we go. Alright, now this is an internal thread, okay? I must warn you guys. So the crest lines are not going to go this way as in the right hand. They're going to go this way. But hang on. This is right hand thread. Yes, because the threads go like this. They go in a circular spiral motion. Okay, so what you're seeing is the inside over here. So even though it's right hand, if you see the way the threads go, when it goes underneath, it goes this way, and when it goes upstairs, it goes that way, this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. Can you see it's going back? The crest lines are going this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark off the pitch lines. Now, you normally do the half pitch for external threads at the bottom, or to one side. You now are going to do the half pitch over here upstairs, because this is an internal thread. Okay, so I'm going to mark off the half pitch, which I really don't like halvesies. That's what I call them. They can be tedious, but once you've done that first one, then you just mark off all the sevens. Mark off the 7 millimeter points and do the next one like this. Just mark it off gently, try and make them faint as possible, and then so forth and so forth. 7 millimeter pitches. Just want to show you a little mistake I made over here. It's not a bad mistake. You can easily rub it out, or someone won't notice it. But when you do your pitches, make sure you stay, as I said, within the pitch amount, which is 7 millimeters. There I made it 6, and the thread would have come out not looking right. Okay, so please be careful of that thing. Right, I'm going to mark the bottom pitches over here, and the bottom pitches are going to be 7 millimeters. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, now that we've done that, we can now start doing our crest lines. Now this is very interesting. It's different this time. This time the crest lines are going the other way. So I'm going to line up that point over there and that point over here like that. And then we're going to draw a line from there to there. Now in the previous exercise I showed you a shorter method. I'm going to do the same thing here, guys. As I said, guys, practice makes perfect. You'll get faster as you practice. So you can do it this way. And it does work, but when I found out this method, guys, this is actually the proper method, and practice makes perfect. Line it up and do it this way. Okay, make sure there's nothing in the way. I'm just trying to check everything, putting the T-square there, flat as possible. Line it up, and then make sure it's right on the other one. 100%, 100%. Now you can start drawing your lines. And there we go. There's our crest lines done. Now we have to do our V lines. So the V, like I showed you in the previous exercise, you line up on the top of the crest line like this. Okay. and you do a construction line, make sure you do it accurately as possible. And I did say in the previous exercise, they do look messy. They're very hard to get 100% right. You will struggle with them first time. Please, you must practice. It'll come eventually, it starts getting better and better. Now, I've done the V there with my construction lines, and you do the same for all of them. But as I said, it'll take a long time. But let me just show you how it gets drawn if you do it that way. So it gets drawn over here like from there to there, and then it gets drawn from there to there. Okay. And this is what I like when I do my method, is that I line it up over here like that, because that's when I know where the V is going to meet, and then I draw a construction line across. I do the same for the other side, so I can show you. Construction line. Construction line. Okay, and if you want to, you can start drawing the line straight away. And there we go, line it up. Scribe a line across like that. Cool. Now we can start drawing our V's. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, everybody. Okay, so now we're going to just have to do the root lines. It doesn't matter which order you guys do the entire drawing, guys, but I like to do the internal threads first when it's in internal threads, and then I do the rest out afterwards. So right now I'm going to be doing the root lines. So as I showed in the external exercise, the external V thread exercise, that you can line it up over here on the V's with a ruler and draw it from one point to the point, like, oh, careful guys, it is a very fragile pencil, from one point to the other. And there we go. Alright, and you can do the same for the next one and the next one. And you can do the same like that with the ruler. It's going to take too long if you do it this way, so I'll show you the safe one. The quicker way of doing it is getting your set square, and then the other set square, and line up on the V's, like that. Just make sure it's 100%. Try it on the other one. That one looks more or less, yes, there we go, that's correct. Okay, and let's carry on. Ooh. And remember, this pencil's very fragile. Alright, so now I've done the crest lines, I'm now going to start doing the outline of this circular block where this thread is going through. So you take your pencil and then you start doing solid outlines on the outside from there to there. Same on this side. Okay, and now we're going to do the horizontal lines, get that out of the side. Alright, but since this is an internal thread, it needs to be sectioned. Now, ideally, the sectioning size is 5mm, so that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter which way you section. You can section it this way, or you can section it that way. As long as it's neat, and as long as it's accurate, and it's 5mm. Now remember, it's a thin pencil that you use as hatching lines, or section lines as they call them. Okay, remember, as I say, the pencil's very fragile, so please be gentle. Right, so I'm going to line up on the 5mm. Now this is how I do it with my ruler. If you look carefully, I try to line it up over here, the lines. Okay, 5mm. So I'm going to move another 5mm like that. Can you see? And now I'm going to start sectioning, and I'm going to do that 5mm throughout the entire drawing. So there's a hatching line over there, thin but solid, and then you go another 5mm like that, and then you draw your line. Now, before I rush off into the distance by drawing more lines, I'm going to just let's show you something over here. Be very careful not to draw onto the thread lines. Try to stay away from inside the internal thread, and just make sure they are neat and tidy. Take care where the lines are. Keep an eye out, eh? keep an eye out. Alright, so remember 5mm hatching lines. Okay, now you can see my pencil broke over there. It happens, guys. That's why I say these are very fragile pencils. They do break. Try to be very careful. I'm actually glad it did happen so you guys can see things like that do happen. Now, that's why I always have my razor shield handy. They're a very handy thing to do. Now, try to be gentle while rubbing this away and not to rub out any other lines. There we go. And that is it. Barely see it. I cannot see it after 1 meter away, so that's considered acceptable. And there we go. That's the internal right hand V-screw thread done, but there's one thing missing. It's the center line. So let me just do the center line first before we run off. Now, this thing was 70 long. So halfway through it will be 35. So where the 35 is, I put the bullet in the middle, and then I mark off 5mm each side. And that is how I do my center lines, nicely and neatly as possible. And there we go. And that's your internal V-screw thread. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I hope you have a pleasant day further.